Good afternoon. The board meeting for Putnam County School District, Tuesday, March 5th, 2019 is officially in session. At this time, we're going to ask Superintendent Cerency if he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we have the Reverend James McGriff of Bethel and Palatka to lead us in invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Our Father, the giver of every good and perfect gift, we pause before the start of this school board meeting to lift our hearts to you in prayer and petitions and thanksgiving for all your many blessings and your mercies, and to seek your presence as plans, decisions, and resolutions are made for the good of our school system in Putnam County. Father, we thank you that you have guarded and guided the positive developments in the past. Therefore, we pray your continuous wisdom and guidance. Lord, we confess that in this present age we are facing increasing pressure from the adversary to conform in ways that go against much of what Christianity stands for. Lord, grant us wisdom to move forward in ways that does not discredit you and your name. Lord, we lift each member of this staff to you and every child as well as every member of the board, and ask your blessings. So into your hands we place this meeting, trusting you to lead, guide, and protect our schools in the future. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you, Reverend McGriff.
At this time, we will have a presentation from the Palatka High School robotics team. Yes.
Actually, Madam Chair, if I may, they have presented to us before, but we are inviting them here today because they participated and competed in the state tournament in Jacksonville, I believe it was last week. So we wanted to recognize them and honor them for their accomplishment. And I know y'all have some things you want to tell us about the tournament.
Okay. And if you will, please speak into the mic so that we'll be able to hear you. We want to take in every word.
On the screen right here, we have one of our matches, our first match that we played at the state. And our robot is Thomas, which is fully programmed. No one touches the controller. And it hits off that block, the game points, and it's about to drop the marker. And it goes over here to park in the crater. And that's a whole part of Thomas.
So our next pretty much period is the driver control period, whenever we have 2 minutes to for us to drive the robots and score as many points as possible. There are several ways you can do it. You can pick up minerals out of the craters and put them in the depots, which are in the corner where we just dropped off our marker, or there are slots in the lander where you can place them. Right now, we are trying to grab the minerals that are outside the crater and put them in the lander, but we had trouble with that, so we ended up just pushing them into the depot. And then in the last 30 seconds, it is called in-game period, and you can score a lot more points in this period by either parking on the crater wall, driving completely into the crater, or you can even lift yourself back up on the lander.
As far as how our team has been doing this year, we've been getting better and better every single year, and that is no lie for this year. This has been our best year as of yet, and we went from last year, we just barely made it to state. We were just one place away from getting there, and this year we were the top alliance in our region, and that got us instantly to state. We were the first pick to go to state, and we have done a lot with as far as the robot design goes this year. We've done a lot of different things. We worked with the 3D printers at the high school. We had some alumni from the robotics team come in and help us with that. And if you can see the paddles on the robot on the end that we use to grab them, those are all 3D printed, as well as the phone holder and our team marker right here, which was also 3D printed. And we've also overcome a few different mechanical problems, like we've created the chain drive, which gave us a more reliable way of lifting our arm up and over our robot, which you'll see here in a minute. And we've also done a lot as far as our team goes. I mean, we've gotten a lot of new members. We've gotten Thomas here, and there's a few who aren't here at this meeting right now. And also, we were able to host the 4th meeting of the competition at Palaca High School. And at that meeting, we had presentations from GP, we had presentations from St. John's, and we also had a presentation by Made in Space, which is a company that makes robotics applications to go into space and work on space stations, which is amazing. And that's a lot of opportunities being put into our community and for us too. And we were also able to help out with a coding initiative video that we did, as well as you announced the initiative to put a robotics team in every single school, which is amazing. And eventually the Lego robotics teams, they'll come to the high school, they'll get involved with this, and we'll just keep on doing better and better. And overall, at the beginning of the year, we made a sort of mission statement, and this year really reflects that, and that is to promote, encourage, and practice STEM in a fun and positive teamwork setting. And I feel like that's really what we've done this year.
Very good.
That's great.
We're also going to run the robot here for you, and
Now, it's one of your goals to take Mr. Stout and send him into outer space.
maybe eventually.
Thank you so much.
We have all of what we're doing with this as far as controlling the robot. We've programmed that all, and we programmed in the controls what each button does on the controllers, as well as the autonomous mode that you saw at the beginning, which was just fully, you press one button and it does all of that by itself.
I think we're gonna go for that one. Open it. There, you had one.
But
And then we would, usually there'd be a lander behind us, and we open it, and just let it fall. And usually we would back up to the lander and dump it into the lander. Scoring 5 points.
Okay.
Kinda how Miss Gilliard fishes. You catch those fish like that and throw them on the bank, don't you?
And that's pretty much what we do.
And how did we do at state?
We probably finished, I would say, about middle of the pack. We did have some technical issues during a couple of matches. Also, this is a team sport. As you see, there's actually 4 robots on this field at one time. Each match, we're teamed up with a different team. And so one match, we might be teamed up with one team, and they may be our opponent the next match. And there was a couple times when our teammate stuck on the lander and didn't even move. And so then we're scoring the only teams for our alliance at that point. And so we lost a few matches due to that, and we lost a match due to some technical issues on
Well, I was going to ask you about that because I was told, I think Brad told me that you had to join together with other teams.
Yes, sir.
What's the idea behind that? It's just cooperation and
Cooperative, learning from each other, learning to the skills, and you see every single robot up there is different. It's been designed completely different. They may have the same parts, they may have different parts, but they put it together. The confines are it has to start within under 18 inches.
And there
there's
should be
some other things,
there
and then it
should
can
be
expand.
a common variable that they all know to work on these things, the
Yeah,
different types.
there's several goals that you can do. So you have to learn what your teammate can do, and then what you can do. We found that one of our competitions that our teammate, when they did their autonomous, it collided with ours and shoved ours out of the way, and we weren't able to. That was one of the matches.
There's also a lot of planning involved in that, as far as at the very end of the competitions at regionals, whenever you have the top teams, the top 4 teams, they get to choose their own teammates and create alliances. And so you have to go throughout these teams. You have to find which ones will work well with your robot, and how you can best most efficiently score the points.
And is this an after-school activity?
Yes.
Okay.
Tuesdays and Thursdays after school, and we have members from actually 2 schools here, Placa High School, and then QI Roberts is also represented as well. So we kind of opened that up to them. And we also had, we started this last year with Crescent City. We had a team there. We had a team there again this year, but kind of some of the kids lost interest in it along the way. But we're hoping to restart that team next year.
Awesome.
Oh, and as far as awards go, we have right here, we got the Winning Alliance, as well as the Connect Award, which involves how we do outreach in our community.
I've actually got the description. I'd like to read this description, if I can, to the Connect Award. It says, the Judged Award for the Connect Award, and this was a league thing, so looking at all the, I think there's 30-something teams in Northeast Florida alone that we competed against, and it says this Judged Award is given to the team that most connects with their local science, technology, engineering, and math STEM community. A true FIRST team is more than a sum of its parts, and recognizes that engaging their local STEM community plays an essential part in their success. The recipient of this award is recognized for helping the community understand FIRST, the First Tech Challenge, and the team itself. The team that wins the Connect Award aggressively seeks and recruits engineers and explores the opportunities available in the world of engineering, science, and technology. This team has a clear business or strategic plan and has identified steps in achieving their goals. And that's, we took the lead in that out of all the teams in Northeast Florida, and we won that award. Kind of wanted to do one more thing today. So I've invited a former member, alumni of our robotics team, Nicole. She was with us our first year and our second year, and competed on team. And Nicole, if you come up. Before she gets started, I just wanted to tell you why I invited her. She graduated this past year, and about 3 weeks ago, she came to work for GP. And I wanted her to share with you her experience with robotics and what it meant for her.
That's awesome.
Right, so my name's Nicole. I graduated in December, so I'll be hopefully walking this May. When I first started taking engineering classes, I was in the 6th grade, and I was in Kentucky, so that's kind of like a mandatory thing, so it was like a class to just sit in. And then I continued to take it here, and I just knew I was good at it. I was passing the class, so I wasn't really aware of how involved I could be in it. Well, then the robotics team came in, and I mentioned it to my dad, and my dad was like, try it out, see if you like it. It was definitely challenging because you're coming up with a robot that you have no idea of where to start from. You have 18 inches to work with, and they give you parts, and that's it. So you've got to look at this playing field that you've never even seen before. You're just looking at an animated video, and you've got to come up with a robot that could potentially win a competition. So not being around something like that, it was definitely challenging. But it's taught me teamwork, how to work with others' opinions. Even if you can't see it, somebody else can. It's taught me how to come up with solutions to problems, because you can try over and over and over again to make something work that you want to work, and it's still not going to work. So you've got to come up with another way. So it and then coming to work for GP, it's definitely helped me out with that. It's helped me out with looking at a machine that I have no information on what it is, on what it's doing or anything like that, and being able to look at it and be like, maybe that's not right, you know? So it's helped me out a lot. It's helped me learn and grow through engineering and math and science, and it's definitely given me a love for engineering when I had no idea that that was even possible for me. So robotics is definitely something that I'll look back on and be proud of.
That's awesome.
We are proud of you.
Yeah.
So Nicole's going to be running some of our robotic equipment at the mill, and so as you can see, I mean, it's direct applicable to her career and her future. So, and we're hoping that that's the pathway that other students will take, and this is definitely helps students prepare for careers in STEM. So I appreciate you guys' support and continued support on that, and go Black Robo Panthers, amen.
Know their names.
Oh,
I wanna
please.
be
Oh,
able to
yeah.
see
Yes,
their
I'm sorry.
name
Go
on
ahead.
the face.
I am Micah Hall.
I am Cody Bird. I am the student from QI Roberts.
I'm Colby Brooks.
I am Thomas Dela Cruz.
Very good.
I'm Rob Knutson. I'm with Georgia Pacific, and we also have some other coaches here. My dad, Robert Knutson, who's the teacher sponsor from Placa. Nicole, which you met, and then Carl Rush, which is one of our engineers at GP, and then Kason Bird, who is returned. He was on our team last year, and he's returning this year as a mentor. And he's in. What are you studying, Kason?
I'm looking at engineering, electrical, and mechanical.
And you're at St. John's right now, right? At St. John's, so.
Board, do you have any questions at all of the team? And y'all really presented yourself very well.
Yes.
And Nicole, great job on that. That's
Yes.
very proud of you. Board members, any questions at all?
No, just comments. Again, we can't say enough of how proud we are of you, and the young man that talked about the future of how these things can work on things in outer space, etc. How great it is to have that on your resume, that you can do something like that. And I'm sure it will open many doors at Georgia Pacific because you're partnered with us. And we thank you for everything that you do for our students, for Putnam County, because we are somebody.
Can you
Period.
imagine in 10 years what a robotics presentation is going to look like?
Yeah, we'll probably be sitting home watching it via something. Yes.
I hope I get to walk in here and watch them do it.
Well, I just want to say this is what it's all about. I mean, we're starting robotics and coding and all that stuff in elementary school, and this is the end result, and it's going to get better and better. But I think Nicole coming here, and I appreciate you inviting her, because that actually shows what we are all about, how we're trying to train our students in those high demand jobs. And I would like Felicia just to get with Nicole after the presentation, and at some point in time, maybe do a little news release on her, because we want to encourage other students to follow in Nicole's footsteps.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about.
Some
So
other industry will probably try to steal her away.
And I can remember growing up watching the Jetsons. Most of you are younger than I am, but it was the Jetsons. And I used to really believe that stuff could never, ever be, would never happen. And it's here.
Yeah.
We're actually living it. And it's great that Putnam County is a part of it. Mrs. Huff, you and your program and all you do for our students, you know, just keep telling us what we can do to assist you to make it even bigger and better.
well, STEM is a major initiative of the district, and we'll be telling you more as we go on, but you know, we are purchasing a STEM bus, and we're going to be taking a bus to all the elementary schools.
Yes,
Gonna
sir.
have somebody in there to man that, but there's going to be all kind of stuff that our kids are going to be exposed to. So,
Mobile
Awesome.
labs are wonderful.
yeah.
Yes. So we're going to get a picture
Yeah,
of
so
them
can
up
we
here
get a
together.
picture here?
I just want to give them another hand. Awesome.
Madam Chair, can you join us down here?
I can. Just don't want to hold anything here.
Good job, guys.
Don't let that robot grab Miss Gilliard.
Robot got a name or anything?
I'm gonna get in the winner's circle.
That's right. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, very good.
Y'all don't worry, Miss Huff tells me what to do as well.
Got it? Can you see the
All right,
phone?
everyone will, if everyone will look this way. 1, 2, 3. Rubber band.
I just walk this way. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Good, thank you.
I'll put that on the
Thank you again. Everything. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you.
Nicole, can you, whenever you get through there?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Knutson. Great job.
I'll make sure to put.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Good job, guys.
Good to see you. Great job.
Students.
Yes, yes.
Hey, thank you.
And to go right to Georgia Pacific and get a job.
Thank you. Graduate, right?
Want to work with you? That's the thing here.
St. John.
Wow.
Yeah, for your school. Yeah. Well, if we can help you, always, so. Great job.
Congratulations. Wow.
Great stuff, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay, just a reminder, if you would like to speak before the board, you must fill out a comment card. We ask that when you come to the podium that you, well, the microphone rather, you state your name and your address and speak into the speaker so that Mrs. Carmody may be able to get that. We only have one, and we're going to call Mr. J.W. Shutt to the microphone, and his subject will be consideration of offering an elective class in Bible history and literature. Mr. Shutt?
Jay Shutt is my name, 1488 State Road 20, Interlachen, Florida. I'm a retired teacher, which means I'm a less tired teacher. Today, I come before the board to encourage all of you to consider offering a Bible in history and literature course in high school. A student's education is not complete without knowledge of the role of that the Bible has played in history and Western literature. Without this knowledge, a student cannot fully understand the founding of our country, the Constitution, and accepted moral codes of Western civilization. Our year of 2019 is based on the birth of Christ. We have a 7-day week based on the 7 days of creation in Genesis. And we place our right hand on the Bible and swear to tell the truth in a court of law. And we do this because the Bible has been considered our source for absolute truth. There is a proposed bill in the Florida State Legislature which would mandate school districts to offer a high school elective course in the Bible in history and literature. The legality of this course has been established, so there's no problem with potential lawsuits. Now, I'm personally not for mandating school districts to do this. However, if this board determines that the course would be something parents would embrace, then it deserves further consideration. Offering this course as an elective would show students that their parents and this board place great value in the Bible, in spite of the fact that many in the scientific community do not. Without question, some are going to be against it. I suspect, however, that the God who superintended the Bible's writing would be all for it, and would be pleased if the board provided the Bible in history and literature as an elective course for high school students in Putnam County. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Having no more cards to address the board from the public, we will now move into our,
Here's another one.
I know this is kind of weird. I got a card I just was filling out,
Yes, ma'am.
but this was about the bomb threat. I don't know if this is
Okay.
the proper time to,
All right, we're going to allow you, if you will, you have
Needs to get her name
3
on it.
minutes, and if you will fill out the card after you're done, so we won't have to hold it up, come on, and give us your name and address, and then you have 3 minutes to share with us.
okay, my name is
Yes.
My name is Debbie Felton, and my address is 105 Stephanie Street, Palaca, Florida. My grandson goes to James A. Long, and I did not know that there was a bomb threat, and I went to pick him up, still not knowing, and he stays for drama club. And I was walking as I always walked, and they pulled me inside. And I said, "What's going on?" And they said, "There's still a bomb threat." I was not notified. I got a little thing from Remind from the teacher that there had been a bomb threat at the end of the day. When I got my grandson, he's got a sensory issue, and he says, "Mama," he said, "I was so scared of this bomb threat." Now he's 9 years old. And what I understood, there was people walking the halls trying to make sure that the school was safe. I know that they did everything at the school possible. The only thing that I would have loved to know is there was a bomb threat. Nobody called. I had no idea until the teacher, she says, "I suppose you already know it by now." I did not. When I got home, I read it on Facebook. And they said, "It's been like that all day long." I said, "But I have not been on Facebook all day long." I did not know. I just asked common courtesy. If something is like this, please let the parents know. At least I could be prepared.
Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me add a few things. I have 4 grandchildren that attend James A. Long. I didn't know, but I know what our plans are that we have in place. And when I found out, I felt very comfortable knowing what we have done as a board and the superintendent and his staff have put in place to protect those children. We have armed employees and personnel on every school that we have, and there's no way that you could absolutely know instantaneously if there was and I'm not sure it was a bomb. Was it a code red for a
I believe, maybe referring to a lockdown.
lockdown? Yeah, a shooter, or, or something like that. So, you can only do so much, but I empathize with you. The ideal would be to let parents know, particularly.
Even later that night, there was no phone calls. Even later.
Well,
I can understand when it's happening.
but we don't have.
But normally they do let us know when there's a lockdown. They do that later on. I understand that.
Well,
But there was none.
My heart goes out. I'm extremely empathetic because I have more children. Not that it makes them any more valuable to you, but I have more grandchildren there than you do, and I have a daughter who teaches there as well. So yeah, I'd like to run up there and figure out a way to protect them. But if you walk up there and somebody thinks you're an intruder on campus, you could get shot. They've got rules and regulations they have to follow.
Well, and I realize that, but I didn't know it was even going on. See,
Okay.
that's the whole problem.
Well,
There was lack of communication. And when I was walking, I had no idea.
I saw some of the Facebook comments, but I mean, you wouldn't automatically throw a flag out on the road and say, we're under a lockdown. I mean, it just, I don't, but I will say that I heard enough comments of people worrying that I know the superintendent's
That they're gonna
staff is going to
address
try
it.
to figure out
Yes,
even
ma'am.
better ways to contact people. I've seen the Daily News has started running flashes and the sheriff's department. So that's about as good as we can do on phones, you know.
Madam Chair, if I could just address that.
Okay.
Thank you for coming in, and I'll be more than happy to meet with you individually, too, if you'd like to talk.
That would be
But I met with the principals last week, and we did talk about this situation. Again, we want to be careful in what we say for security reasons, but we do want to inform parents, generally speaking, not when lockdown drills are happening, but ahead of time to let them know that there will be some lockdowns at non-traditional times where kids may be outside the classroom, because we're trying to practice lockdowns whenever, they're just not sitting in class, trying to prepare them for the unexpected. But again, I did talk to principals about being cognizant of making sure, that parents are notified after the fact, because you're right, people are frightened, people want to know what's going on. So I appreciate you bringing that to our attention, and it is our goal to make sure that parents are aware of what's going on. In the heat of the moment, we may not be able to do it because we're making sure kids are safe, but after the fact, we'll make sure we do a better job on reaching out to parents. And I'm not sure that particular case, what happened or as far as communication, but here going forward, we're going to do a better job on making sure we notify our parents.
We're still, even in best case scenario, if it were an actual, if there were to be an actual shooter on campus or a bomb, then you still wouldn't be able to contact everybody. The worst thing you can have is a bunch of parents flooding up there in the middle of us trying to control the situation. And some parent come thinking their child's going to be shot, and they run in with a gun, and they're going to be shot by a deputy. So it's an incredible awkward set of circumstances, but it has to be in a controlled environment, and we have to learn more about these things. Your complaint helps us learn more, and the other complaints that I saw on Facebook.
Well, the fact is, this is our first year in public school.
Okay.
And every other year, we were at Pinal. And so it's been a different year. But every one has been done exactly, really. I mean, when they had lockdown, or whatever, we were always notified, always. Maybe they were just practicing it. I don't know. But this one here, I said, and I still don't even know the whole story behind it. I just want my grandson, and like you, want your grandkids. We've adopted him. He's not just our grandson, he's our son also. So we want the best for him. And I don't want to go over there walking in front and not even knowing. I wasn't even doing anything wrong. I was just walking before he could get out of drama club.
Right.
And then knowing, and he told me, he says, Mama, I was very scared. So things were not handled exactly like there either to make him feel like that. Because all other ones, he never was scared, not one single.
Like, if
So-
it makes you feel better, I have grandchildren in 1, 2, 3, 4 other schools. So they all get locked down and things happen, but thank goodness I kind of have an inside track and know what our staff is doing. But
And-
thank you so much.
Yes, again,
Well,
thank you for sharing.
And like I didn't even know about this meeting, and I happened to read a comment on Facebook. They said, if you got something to say, don't say it on Facebook. Say it at the meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm saying it
That's
at the
great.
meeting. I don't do all that stuff on Facebook. Because I think you got to go to the,
And thank you again.
thank y'all, I
Okay.
appreciate it. I don't know where I'm supposed to go.
You can
If
bring
you
it right
will
here.
give it,
As a matter of fact, he's staying for drama again today, so hopefully I can, about as I can.
Thank you,
y'all
ma'am.
very
all
much.
righty.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, at this time, we will move to our consent agenda, the board and the superintendent. So do we have any items
I don't.
that we need to pull? We'll start with Mrs. Pickens.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Mr. Buckles?
No, ma'am, I came in this morning and went through it, and the only little weird looking one was the one where we go out of country to the farm to school situation where they go to Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, but that's not, after I read
The school
them,
food
it's
service.
all
Yes,
good, yeah.
yes. All right, and I have none. Mr. McInnes?
None.
All righty. Superintendent, Cerency, do you have any?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented by the superintendent.
I second.
All right, all in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Opposes, same sign. Ayes have it, 5-0. Okay.
4-0, ma'am.
I'm 4. I'm just accustomed to Mrs. Crawford being here. 4-0. Thank you, sir.
She'd keep us an
Yeah.
hour in this.
Okay. All righty. At this time, we will move out of our regular session into emergency session. And we have 2 items listed there on the agenda. The after-fact overnight trip, Palatka High School wrestling team to Lakeland, Florida, March 1st through 2nd, 2019, for the regional meet. Justification, explanation, time sensitive.
I make a motion, we approve.
I second.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Buckles, second by Mrs. Pickens that we have it. All in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Overnight trip, Palatka High School wrestling team to Kissimmee, Florida, March 7th through the 9th, 2019, for a state meet. Justification, explanation, time sensitive.
Madam Chair, I make a recommendation that we accept the emergency item as written.
Second it.
All right, it's been moved by Mrs. Pickens and second by Mr. McInnes. All in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries 4-0. So we move out of emergency session back into our regular session. All right, under discussion unfinished business, we have the 20-plus years of service to students in Putnam County Schools. And you want to come and kind of kick us off, Mrs. Whitehurst? And if you will pass one to Mrs. Whitehurst and take one for yourself. Pass.
So I have to say I have not done anything else on it because I was under the impression that y'all were putting this off until trying to decide to do something during pre-planning. So I kind of have my staff like on hold because we had some other things they were trying to get done. So
Okay.
So you don't need the like finalized list from me, right?
No, not the finalized list. I did write a note on mine because we are, and we did agree.
Okay.
So that we could do it
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
We want to
All right.
do it just right, that we would put it off to pre-planning. But I did say there's a possibility then that somebody that was sitting at 19
Correct.
would,
Then we would right, and
move
we
over,
will make sure
which may not be that many, but it will move over.
We'll make
And
sure we
so
follow through with that.
What I did, I did go online and Google just so we would be able to look at some items, possibilities as we move forward. Sometime over the summer we could possibly meet and discuss place and time. Now that we are going to do it during pre-planning, maybe we can do one central location because school will not have started, and we could bring them in a central
Yes, ma'am.
location as a possibility. But just with that being on the agenda, now the possibility, I am asking, should we continue to put it on as unfinished business until it comes to fruition?
Mr. Attorney, what?
If the
Sure,
board's in
Bill.
agreement to have it during the pre-planning phase and all the items are taken care of, just waiting for the date to come along, then I wouldn't see a need to keep having it on the agenda. Unless there were additional questions from the board or some clarification that the board wanted from district staff as it got closer in time to the date that was placed on the calendar.
So a possibility of, they will come back in August, so probably July, June, July, somewhere in there, it could come back on the agenda.
And that'll give us an opportunity to have this year's years of experience completed so that we can have an accurate list for you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate
Ask a
that.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
When we get the information, will it would be the number of years?
Yes, ma'am.
Like, could we distinguish 20 and 25? I mean, how difficult is that?
Well, it'll have the it'll have their actual years. So, I mean, that'll be easy if you want to do like 20 plus, 25 plus, because their actual years would be there. So you could sort it into a range.
Because even if we decide to do certificates, it will be Holly Pickens for 25 or 26 years of service to Putnam County students or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it will be their number of
It'll be
years
their
of
number of
anybody 20 and
in 20 and over. Yes, ma'am. And it'll
We
have their
wanna
name
personalize it,
and
too.
their actual number of years in Putnam County, because that's what y'all are asking for.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you again, and thank you, Mrs. Pickens, for that. Okay. All right, we have no new business. At this time, we will have our reports from the board. We're going to start with Mr. McInnes, and we will move to his left, my left.
Okay. Well, I think after the last board meeting, Ms. Crawford built up the Palaca Panther basketball program so well that I attended the game, watched us beat Santa Fe, and unfortunately they came up short the last game. The baskets were so easy in that game that I watched before that they just didn't fall. But I have to give them a lot of credit.
Yeah.
They came from 14 points behind to tie it in the third quarter, which is, back in my day, we'd have been done. We've been smoked already, 14 points behind, and just going to congratulate their season and their coach and the players. One other thing, well, I did attend the Melrose Terrific Kids program. Always good seeing the young people out in Melrose. And this past week was a Panther outing at Pedro Menendez, where my grandsons both go and play baseball. Saw David one night when the Lady Panthers were playing.
I had a granddaughter playing.
And we actually had a Pedro and Palaca confrontation. Palaca swept Pedro. I think they swept them all week. And we will have a rematch in May. But it's just interesting seeing my nephew against my grandson. And I really enjoyed that. It's unique.
And to see Jesse and his son just is unreal.
Absolutely. It's all
Because
good.
Jesse was just a student the other day himself.
Yes.
Whew.
And
Lord.
I enjoyed seeing the reports on social media about everything that's going on in the schools. And one thing I did participate in was this last week, the Read Across America, read at Browning Piers, and we had an opportunity to read also at James A. Long, and just enjoyed that. And I can't say enough about how just the observation that you can tell that teachers are so invested in our students, and kids are very well behaved. A lot of questions when I popped in at Browning Piers, because I actually read in one of the classrooms, and they wanted to know, they were asking 20 questions, so I let them have it. So one of them did figure out that I was a mailman, but they thought that I was still a mailman. So that was very interesting. And looking forward to the fair coming and our students participating in that this month. And it's this month, right?
Yes.
That's it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Buckles?
I'd like to address real quick Mr. Schutz's comment on the Bible courses. I superintendent and administrators, and I know I was trained years ago at Vanderbilt by the Southern Poverty Law Center and different groups on how to allow student-led prayer in public schools. There is a way that prayer can happen every day, and Bible study, obviously the state is going to take care of that. That's not something we just arbitrarily do. We'll be told at some point, it's like civics, you know, at some point, it all becomes a time, it's that natural pendulum, you know, it swings back into, and you go away from all those good things, and now you're kind of trying to see them coming back. So what I'd like to tell you, if you notice, some of the schools carry the banner "In God We Trust" on the signs and things like that. We used to have it on school stationery, and maybe still do. I don't know if Rick does or not, but the Supreme Court has ruled the term God is secular in nature, not religious. So we're able to do certain things that we've learned how to do in schools over the years, and it's alive and well in Putnam County. There are kids that pray at the flagpole and stuff, but as long as we don't proselytize, there's a lot of opportunities for children to worship in public schools, and people that aren't aware and read everything that comes across Facebook or some post that you're looking at is not always true, but for the most part, we try to stay on top of those things, and I feel very good about the district staff and what they're allowing and are able to do without violating any constitutional rights. Safety, I would like to commend school staff and the superintendent and our law enforcement personnel for the reward that led to the arrest of the child that had perpetrated the grief. I mean, there is no way to unless you could run a bomb siren, that people would know there was something going on at the school, and that would be really bad because you've got trained law enforcement who work after hours to learn how to take down a shooter, and you know, we've done away with lockers in many schools because of the old bomb drills from years ago. Sandy, I know you and Rick remember, and probably Holly as well, going through every locker in the school and looking for a bomb and those.
And my question was, what do I do with it when I find it? Yeah.
But anyway, we've come a long way. Are we perfect? No. Are we? Yeah, but we will meet with armed resistance anybody that threatens our children. And I didn't even go into detail about nieces and nephews and second cousins' kids and things like that, like I'm sure that Rick and Sandy and all of us have in our schools. So I am very proud of what you did, you know, but I'm empathetic to those parents that don't, and grandparents that don't understand how difficult it is, because the last thing you want as a parent running on to Palaca High School when you've got a threat of an armed person and then bring a gun and thinking they're going to go in and save their child and get shot. You know, it's just, you have to have those rules and regulations. But I know what you're going through, Rick, and it's very hard to take the bad with the good. Mm-hmm. And it's easier to take a nice presentation like robotics. And I was looking at that a while ago, and I'm thinking you know, you can look for the good and find it, and you can look for bad in places where there are problems. But you guys did a great job, and just keep learning and keep going.
Well, and thank you for saying that, and I want to stress in public that when we have people who make those threats, that we're going to do everything we can to find the culprit, because they've got to understand that it's not a game anymore. Yes. And we're going to, with the full force of the district and the sheriff's office, we're going to make sure we bring them to justice, because we can't have them disrupt our schools and instill fear like she was talking about.
And that's offering a reward. It's the best way to get people to start talking.
We sure did. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay, Mrs. Pickens?
I agree. I think y'all sent a strong message, and the district and you know, safety is really the most important thing. And as a parent, I did bomb threats for a long time, and then when my own children were in the school where I was searching for a bomb, it gives a whole new meaning to looking for a bomb. So I definitely empathize with that grandmother. I also participated with the Read Across America at James A. Long, and I was grateful to be invited to do that. And I went with a 5th grade class, and the teacher read aloud the book that they were reading, and it was very interesting. And 4 little girls squeezed over on their little sofa and let me have room to sit with them, and also answered all my questions so I could get caught up with what the teacher was reading. So that was a really good experience. Our insurance meeting last Monday had to be canceled, postponed, due to the fact that a lot of people couldn't be there, but especially because of Paul Smith. And we just need to remember him and his family in our prayers. And I'm sure it'll be scheduled again, and we'll get going on the insurance. And probably one of the highlights of my week last week was Crescent City girls softball team came from behind in the 7th inning with 1 out, runners on 2nd and 3rd, and junior Sage Totten got up and hit a RBI, sacrifice RBI, and Sierra Boynton scored, and we beat St. Augustine High School 8-7. Awesome. So
she was attentive, I tell you.
That was a good night. So and that's all I have.
Thank you so much, all of you. I too want to comment on Palatka High School basketball team. We have a coaching staff there that's pretty much second to none. I love the way that they handled defeat, because that one game kept us from making the Final Four for a three-peat, I think is what they call it now, when you go back 3 times. But the way our fans even handled it, I was very much pleased. We had the presence of our police officers there, but our fans took it in stride. Did we want to lose? No, we didn't. I even complimented a parent or someone from Nature Coast. It looked like North Carolina. I was thinking, did they get permission for that logo? But anyway, I don't think so. I think it's trademark. But anyway, everything went well. So Palatka has to be commended, and the way that Mr. Stout had the presence of his staff there so that they could keep things in order. I too want to comment on the threats and the safety of our children. The last thing we want to do as a board is to expel children from our school system, from our district. But we must send a message that education and safety are a top priority, and in order for our children to be able to learn, we must remove those negative forces. But we do empathize, as Mr. Buckles said. Do we want to do it? No. But we want parents to send a message to their children and let them know that you can't do this and say that I was only joking or I was kidding and wasn't going to do it. And to have to read some of the things that were mentioned out of the number of students being expelled, I had to ask myself, if it were my niece or nephew, what would I want? And so we have to take a hard line, and I too commend you all for how you've done and how our Sheriff's Office worked with us. I want to commend Palatka Daily News on their coverage of the great things that are happening here in Putnam County. We have a unique situation in that we are small enough that they understand and they almost know our children, and so we appreciate all of that you do for them. Final thing, we do have an invitation from Linda Myers with the tags. Yeah, Flow Arts at 6. For those of us that can make it, let us go, because again, those are our children. And the Courier out of Crescent City, they do an excellent job too in covering the students of the month from the south end of the district. We just got to get West Putnam on board to making sure we get the coverage when they do their students of the month. And again, just thank you to the entire constituency of the Putnam County School District and to all of our teachers. We thank you for all that you do. Mr. Superintendent. Well, we'll take Mr. Attorney, Mr. Douglas.
Thank you.
Yes.
And to follow up on something that Board Member Buckles discussed earlier, the word God and the motto, "In God We Trust." This last legislative session, Florida Statute 1003.44 was amended to state that all district school board buildings display the state motto, "In God We Trust." And we have adopted policy 8810, which implements that, and the February 5th meeting, there was a consensus to advertise the update for that particular.
Okay.
I know Superintendent Sorensen kept it up at Jenkins for many years after I was superintendent, and I was very pleased it's still there, I guess.
And this does come up to vote for our next meeting.
And that's "In God We Trust."
Right.
And for those that don't care for that motto, I'll take all your money because it's written on it. So, I mean, you shouldn't want anything to do with
I know
it.
Mr. Bowling is working with Mr. Chastain, and we've got a plan on how to implement that.
Good deal.
Okay, great, thank you.
The expulsion hearings are still going forward. Everything is going well with that. The truancy hearings are going well. We are working with the truancy court right now to develop a system that has a more consistent number of petitions that come before the court on each date, so that the docket will run more efficiently as students and parents make their way through the truancy court.
Do we have many of those?
There are
Sad,
quite a few, but the good news is that there are a lot of resources available for the students and parents in order to try to get back on the right track. So it's not so punitive in nature, but hopefully more rehabilitative. Yeah.
Thank you. Like that, rehabilitate, yes.
You good?
All right, Mr. Superintendent?
Just to reiterate, going back to safety again, we've scheduled, and I'm waiting on the exact date, but we have scheduled a video with myself, the sheriff, and the state attorney, Mr. Larizza, and we're going to actually shoot a video and put it out there with the idea of letting students and the community know that this is no longer a game. We are very serious about keeping our schools safe, and so that is in progress, and we will make sure you see a copy of that.
Okay.
And that a lot of that is in response to some of the recent stuff that's happened, but I will say we have addressed that very aggressively, and the people responsible, we are dealing with them. So, and if it takes putting up reward money to do that, then we're going to do that. But we're not playing a game anymore. Haven't played a game at all, but we're not playing around with this at all.
Right.
Just got back just a little while ago from Tallahassee. Did a all-nighter in Tallahassee. Rode up there yesterday morning, and actually attended a subcommittee hearing on the appropriation request from the Putnam County School Board, $670,000 request for the Public Service Academy. And I was actually in the paper today. Mr. Bobby Payne submitted that request, and it passed the committee, which is the first step. So hopefully we're keeping our fingers crossed, and if and when we get that submitted or implemented next year, we're going to see some great things. We're planning on starting it next year, and this will help us with additional costs. But that's going to really meet the needs of our community as far as providing jobs and opportunities for kids who may not be going to college, but this is something that we definitely see a need for. And I was so pleased to hear the young lady that has got a job at GP. I mean, that just tells the story right there.
Yes.
How it's paying off.
You've got success stories coming out of here every day.
Absolutely.
It's wonderful, and the key to this is getting it to the governor's desk, and I think we'll be in good shape.
So I was very pleased to be there, and Mr. Payne is doing a great job representing us. And of course, last year we got the $250,000 advanced manufacturing appropriation. So we're setting up there trying to advocate for our district. And speaking of success stories, if you would allow me, I want to read something, and I'm probably going to embarrass somebody, but last week we had a bunch of our secretaries go to a conference over in St. Augustine, and you could have walked in here and it's like, where's everybody? And they were all in St. Augustine, all the secretaries.
So things just stopped.
Yeah,
Am I right?
I didn't know what to do.
Nobody knew what to do.
Miss Carmody wasn't here, and I was just like, what am I supposed to do now, you know?
The place shut down when she left.
Well, I just want to, they give a award, it's kind of like the Heisman Trophy, if you will, for secretaries.
All right.
The way I understand it. But it's called the Renee Baker Service Award. And let me just read a little information about this. This award was established during the Secretary's Leadership Conference of 2018 to honor the dedication and faithful service of Renee Baker to the Secretarial Leadership Conference. Renee lost her battle to cancer in 2018. However, her spirit of service and friendship will continue through the efforts of those who followed behind her. All public school districts in Florida will, with attendees during this Secretary's Leadership Conference of 19, are welcome to submit their nominations. My understanding is about 10 districts, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? About 10 districts submitted nominations. And I'm happy to announce that our own Sharon Cormany won that award. If you would allow me, I'm going to read what they said. And actually, Vicki Moody sent this to us. And I've got more for you in just a minute. It says, this year's recipient of the Renee Baker Service Award has been in her present position for 7 years and with her school district for 30 years. She assists the superintendent and board members. Her superintendent writes, that's me. She is very task-driven and works beyond normal work hours to ensure the work of the superintendent and the board members. If you remember, she is doing both jobs. She took Miss Douglas's place, and she's actually serving both of us. To always complete. I have trust and confidence in Sharon to always complete any task that is assigned to her. Her areas of expertise, in my opinion, is school board policy. Matter of fact, she was slipping me notes here just a minute ago about some policy things coming up. She also serves on the superintendent's leadership team and takes an active role in formulating procedures for the district's administrative staff. I believe Sharon is the most deserving of this prestigious award as she exemplifies the characteristics of the late Renee Baker in her efforts to serve the students and employees of our school district. And I'm going to ask that our board step down front and for a photo op, because I'm going to present her. We actually stole this off your desk. She already had it. Would y'all step down here for just a minute, Charlie? I think it'd be fitting that we all get in the picture with Sharon. I sent Felicia on a mission to get it off your desk after you left. Congratulations.
I know that'll be a long time.
She served two masters, right? So to speak. The board and the superintendent.
people.
Is that good, Felicia?
Yep, if everyone will look this way. And 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Perfect.
And just one more. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
All right, congratulations. Most deserved.
Rick, it's really interesting that this morning I was telling her, I asked her how things were going, and she said, well, it's going. And of course, in her positive way, and I said, people would never believe what it's like to be in the superintendent's office, and she said, nope. She indicated that Palaca High was one world, but this whole deal here is a whole different story.
Well, Ms. Cormany and myself worked together in the office of Palaca High for a number of years, so we both have scars.
And I was there 3 of them.
Scars aren't the right word to use. Experience. How about that?
Experience.
So this award was established in 2018?
Is that right? Sharon, can you shed
So
some light
you
on
must be the first recipient.
The award was established in 2018, I believe. There was someone that won it last year. I don't know the name.
Oh, maybe 2018, and then now you're 2019. Well, still.
Out of that many districts, though, I'm not sure how many people were up for the award, but wow, what an honor.
Yes,
Not
yes.
everybody is cut out to
Yes.
do this kind of work. It's tough.
Appreciate everything you do, Sharon.
And she'll make a soup for you and stuff for meetings. Oh, yeah.
I called Sharon over the weekend, as a matter of fact, because I found out our bill was coming up in front of the committee, and I called her over the weekend and said, hey, I need a room in Tallahassee. And she was on it over the weekend. She was working on that. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Okay.
that's all I have. Thank you.
All righty. At this time, we will adjourn this regular meeting and open for our executive session.